Subscribe to Film Companion for your film fix. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.
It was a bit like cheating on my girlfriend because I was working on another film and somehow I don't know why or how this bug of Indian classical music just bit me. I used to think that I'm very detail oriented, but then I saw Alfonso at work. So essentially, what he did was he kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone many, many times on my own film and even during Roma. And he kind of, pushes me all the time to think big, to not, be fearful of anything, to have the vision first and then the resources will follow.
Hi, Chaitanya. Such a pleasure to have you on Film Companion.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
First of all, many congratulations on The Disciple. Now, you already know this story, but I'm going to tell it for our viewers that I first heard about the film in terms of what it's like from none other than Alfonso Cuarón, who I bumped into at the Cannes Film Festival last year. And of course, you had done the Rolex Mentor and Protege Arts Initiative. As you know, he mentored you, you were his disciple in a sense. And he raved about The Disciple, standing in this hotel lobby, waiting for the airport pickup to come and get him. But he spoke so eloquently about your film. And Chaitanya, I was so proud that here was one of the world's great directors speaking about one of our own. It was just such a thrilling moment for me. And now The Disciple is embarking on this incredible journey. First film to be chosen for competition at the Venice Film Festival since Meera Nayar's Monsoon Wedding in 2001. Mm-hmm. Also showing at the Toronto Film Festival. Alfonso has loved it so much that he has come on board as co-producer. What is going through your head right now? What are you feeling?
He's come on board as an executive producer and I'm feeling super, super excited because, we are kind of still processing all of this. It is a bit overwhelming and we've seen some tough times, all of us, and there's been so much uncertainty. So this feels really, really amazing because I was very worried as to what will happen with the film. How will it get out? There was just, so much confusion. So when we got the competition at Venice and then Toronto and then, Alfonso coming on board as executive producer, we just could not have asked for a better fall festival premiere for the film. And like you said, it's the first film in almost 20 years to make it to a competition in, any of the three major European festivals, Berlin, Cannes, Venice. So it does feel quite surreal, I must say. And we are super, super excited about the whole thing.
So, Chaitanya, this film is based in the world of Indian classical music. Can you tell me where the story originated? How did you think of this subject?
Yeah, you know what? It was a bit like cheating on my girlfriend because I was working on another film and somehow, I don't know why or how, this bug of Indian classical music just bit me. I can't even explain why it happened, but when it happened, for the longest time, I was in denial. I have to work on this other project, but I'm, gravitating towards this music. I was watching documentaries. I was watching, reading books and attending concerts. And
but you weren't already a fan. You weren't like a fan of Indian classical.
I had zero idea about Indian classical music.
No way.
No way. So I haven't grown up listening to Indian classical music or anything. I had zero idea. So it was like a journey from scratch, which is also the exciting part for me because I love immersing myself in worlds that I have no idea about. And there's this whole process, this whole cycle of really falling in love with something, being totally enamored by it, then being bored of it, finding it very mundane, and then again kind of finding a certain love for it. And then comes the script, which is the last phase. But it's also such a rich world, it's a world of tales of masters and secret knowledge, and these anecdotes with such a rich history, and of course the music itself, which can be magical. So it was a whole process of falling in love, out of love, and then back in love again. And then I decided after a long time to abandon this other project, break up with it, and be like, I'm so sorry. I have to, attend to this new love in my life. And that's how I kind of started writing the script. Yeah.
Tell me about the process of casting actors. And I'm asking because for your first film, Court, I read that you auditioned 1,800 people over 10 months. So
Mhm.
how did it work for this film where the actors need to sort of show that they're steeped in such a specific knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, when my friends and some people read the script, they said it's great, but how are you going to cast for this? This film cannot be cast, basically, you cannot cast for this film because we are working with so many limitations. The actors have to, sort of have a screen presence, have an instinct for acting, but, most of them, like primary characters, are musicians, so they need to be able to perform this music and they have to be able to speak Marathi. So, and they have to be interested. If you're a musician, you have to be interested in giving so much time, to a project like this. So yeah, it was a tough one. And in fact, we auditioned even more people this time than we did for court. I
More than
mean,
1,800.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, even though the pool was quite narrow because we basically harassed every Marathi speaking, Indian classical vocalist and musician in the state and in the city and in the country to come and audition for this film. And they were all very like, what is this, project that's going on and why are we getting calls from so many people? But we had a very dedicated casting team who kind of, stuck it out. And yeah, it was a long process. It was like almost again 9 or 10 months of casting and auditioning musicians and actors and things like that. But yeah, this one's even more sort of hardcore in the sense, I mean, I don't think there are any like professional actors in this one. Like Coach
None.
still had some professional actors. They're like theater directors and writers, but I don't remember like too many like professional actors. It's mostly musicians in this one who are acting for the first time. So
So
very excited.
how did you do it, Chaitanya? How did you get them to give you the performance you wanted?
Yeah, so once you know that your performance and your actors are your priority, you kind of engineer your entire shoot and your entire process around it.
How?
So
How do you do it?
it's an expensive process. It's a tedious process. We would shoot one scene a day. It's about creating an atmosphere on set for these actors to feel absolutely comfortable. So we are performing for them in a way. The crew is performing for them that everything's fine even though we are freaking out. And again, you just allow them to do lots and lots of takes because it's also got to do with the form I use, which where you can't hide too much with, with editing and things like that. And also just casting well, just being very sure that you're casting the right people, doing lots of workshops with them, um, kind of forming a rapport with them where the communication is very clear as to what you want. But I must say that once we chose our cast and we did our workshops, it wasn't that difficult to get the performances. They are amazing. The cast is amazing. I'm very happy with their performances.
Okay, and tell me about how Alfonso decided to come on board as executive producer.
No, so again, so I must tell you this story that you mentioned about the Khan thing. I didn't know about this.
You did? I told
You
you.
are the one who told me about because I
Correct.
had sent the rough cut to Alfonso,
Yeah.
and I was like really nervous as to how is he going to react. And then I think he left for Khan, and then you messaged me saying, "Hey, he's praising your film," and I was like, "What? He's seen it?" No, but I
I
must
was
say
the bearer of good news.
you were, and I didn't believe it till I actually spoke to him. But I must say that he's kind of been involved with the film right from the genesis. Like even before I wrote the script, I was talking to him about the first time we met. I told him about this project, and he said it sounds beautiful.
Hmm.
So he helped me choose my cinematographer. I bothered his entire team, and he contacted Chivo, who recommended this DP, and then Alfonso was like, you really have to take his work seriously, and you should really consider him. So he's been involved. He gave me feedback on the edit. He read the script, and of course he saw the film, and he's kind of been guiding us in this entire journey now that the film is, going to start like a new journey. He's really kind of been there, and so yeah, and it's a relationship that's organically developed over the last, I think, 3 or 4 years, and he keeps telling me that I am helping you because of the film, and which kind of makes sense because a person of his stature wouldn't just, lend his name or put his neck on the line just because we are friends or because we met through this, this program. So yeah, I feel very blessed, and me and Vivek feel very grateful that Alfonso is doing this because obviously it helps the film. It
Yeah.
obviously really kind of makes a lot of things easier for us, and he's been a great guide to both Vivek and me. And I must say that even this mentorship program, the Rolex mentorship program that I did with him, it's really in a way been so beneficial, and I've really gained a lot out of it, way beyond the actual program. So
I wanted to ask you that you said in an interview that you did, I think it must have been at the end of the program, you guys, both of you together did a bunch of interviews, and you talked about how working with him and shadowing him actually changed your eye. You said that you were more sensitized,
Yeah.
to images.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does that mean as a filmmaker?
Yeah, no, so it was not just one thing, it was a lot of things, and there are certain things that you can kind of only learn from having a deep conversation with a master like that. And there are certain things which you can only learn by watching them at work in person, so it was like a great mix. No, and see, I haven't been formally trained in filmmaking. Also, you need to understand, we are talking about a filmmaker who is like at another level when it comes to understanding the medium, challenging the medium. So essentially what he did was he kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone many, many times on my own film and even during Roma. And he kind of, pushes me all the time to think big, to not, be fearful of anything, to have the vision first and then the resources will follow. And I used to think that I'm very detail oriented, but then I saw Alfonso at work and I was like, so basically as a filmmaker, what he has contributed to my understanding is he's expanded my vocabulary of filmmaking. For example, he's a master of using VFX in the most deceptive manner. I won't get into the details of it because he's a sorcerer when it comes to it. But, and I'm talking not even about a film like, say, Children of Men or Gravity. I'm talking about a film like, say, Roma, where you'll never know what kind of sorcery is going on. Or his use of Dolby Atmos for sound, or his idea of editing. I mean, just to give you an example, I was once saw him edit the film, like it was the final touches, and he was editing in 3 frames and 4 frames and that kind of detail, and just the precision and things like that. Also his understanding of light, his understanding of image, and the relationship of cinematography with storytelling. So yeah, it was a lot of things that it was like the next level for me, definitely. And I have kind of imbibed a lot of that into the Disciple in conscious and unconscious ways. It's still totally my film. I mean, I keep telling him that I'm so grateful, and he's like, yeah, but I see you in every frame, is what he keeps telling me. He's very kind that way, but I know what I've learned, and I've become even more of a control freak now. So yeah.
But Chaitanya, your journey is just amazing. I mean, at 17, you were writing daily soaps for Balaji. And at 33, you've got a film in competition at Venice. And you have never learned filmmaking in a formal way. How have you done this?
I mean, look, I think for both the films like Court and it's true that I started working very, early, and I met some terrible people in my life who tried to convince me that I can't go anywhere in life. Like I have crazy stories of people taking me to a fake astrologer at the age of 17 or 18 who's telling me that you should only work under this person all your life. I have crazy stories. So I've been burned quite badly at a very...
By the Hindi film industry. You're talking about by Bollywood.
Not film industry. Back then it was a television industry or whatever, but it's all kind of blurry in a sense. So I've been, and even like film professionals, I've been bullied by people on my short film and things like that. It's happened, so but that also kind of gave me a lot of strength quite early on, and it kind of also made me very decisive about what I want to do and what kind of people I want to surround myself with. And I realized the importance of the energy and the vibe that's created by your collaborators. So I feel, on both my feature films, I've been very lucky to have, a great crew and a great team. And because I think I also became very sort of vigilant and very sensitive to who I am working with and whether they understand my vision. But having said all of that, in the larger sense, the question that you're asking, how has this happened? There's only one very simple answer to it, which is Vivek Gombar. The films exist, and in a way I exist because of Vivek Gombar. I was like, at the age of 22, 23, I was on the verge of like completely giving up. like really, really giving up.
Giving
Yeah.
up making movies.
Like, almost like giving up my life, kind of giving up.
Really?
That bad. Yeah, 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 yeah. It was really
Why?
bad.
Why?
Well, I mean, I don't want to make a thing out of this, but it's true. And it was a time when my friends were checking up on me to see if I'm okay. It was that kind of a time. And actually, some of those themes kind of, also seeped into court with this whole manual workers, suicide and things like that. Again, I was a different person back then. I was very angry with the world, had a very different kind of fire in my belly and wanted to prove a point, but there were just no opportunities. I still don't see any opportunities for me outside of Vivek Gombar, to be very honest. But this is a guy who I met when I was 21. We worked on a play together called Grey Elephants in Denmark. And then I made the short film, which in some ways was not a very good experience for me. Uh, and then at 23, we kind of reconnected, and I told him, like, I'm not in a good place and I want to do this film about a courtroom drama, but I don't have the money to sustain myself. I need to work. I'm 23 now, and I just don't have the resources. And without any conditions, without any sort of agreements or any kind of sort of strategy in mind, he said, why don't you write? I will give you the money. You need 15,000 rupees a month or whatever for your sustenance, I will give it to you. So we've had this journey for the last 10-12 years, and Anu, I can't tell you the kind of sort of paternal love he has for me. I mean, I remember that moment when the Lion of the Future award was announced at Venice. I could see tears in his eyes, not for the fact that the film that he's produced has won an award, or because he's won an award. It's like a father being very proud of a son. So honestly, it's all Vivek, to be very honest. Like, I really feel sometimes like even the compliments that are coming my way, he's the one who's enabled me to make all of this happen, and just unconditional support. And you need that kind of freedom to even create something decent. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
You talked about Venice, of course. So you are not a newcomer to the festival. Court premiered there. You won Best Film Horizons there. Court also then went on to be the Indian entry to the Oscars, won a national award. Chaitanya, what is it like? What was it like to have that first rush of fame, especially after so much struggle and hardship, and then to kind of disconnect from that sort of buzz and that pressure that you've just delivered a really groundbreaking debut film? You disconnect from all of that, and then you make something like The Disciple, which is which is also looks like it's going to be something brilliant. So how did you do that? How did you just completely sort of put the first film away and get invested in the second?
Yeah, I mean, the journey of Code was like a fairy tale for us. We were just like, I was 25 when I shot the film. Vivek himself was like 32, 33, putting his own money into it. And very, like, for us, it was a very small film, that we quietly made in Marathi, mostly with non-actors and with a lot of passion, of course, a lot of ambition. But, what happened with it was like beyond our expectations. And then that journey became quite long because there were all the festivals which we wanted to travel to. And there was the Oscar thing, the Oscar campaign in LA. Then the mentorship program got offered to me. I had to apply for it. And then, I was selected. So the process of being on Roma. So yes, it did take a bit of time for me to move on to my next project. So there are two aspects. One is I don't take the fame part or the success part very seriously. I feel like, yes, I kind of keep those things at bay, and I don't indulge in any of that. The other thing is, it's a way of life I've also kind of chosen to be disconnected. Like, you won't see me at parties or screenings or doing too many interviews. It's a very conscious decision so that I don't get distracted. I turned down a lot of projects because I want to just focus on what I'm doing. And any kind of pressure I felt or fear I felt was before I started writing the first page of The Disciple. But that was a whole process of just like getting everything out of my system. And then I didn't care because I was busy with the work and there was something to do. So those 4 years, I didn't think about anything else. So that was cool.
So Chaitanya, you're a great lover of long takes. You're a lover of stillness. There's a certain gravitas which you can see in a film like Court. Where does that come from? Because when I read some of the interviews you've done, you talk about being mostly exposed to theater and to Bollywood films.
Yeah, actually, that's not coming from theater or like necessarily films. It's coming more from my understanding of magic, because I have studied, magic as a subject and mind reading as a subject for the last, I think, 13 years or 14 years now. So it's got something to do with communicating to the subconscious. It's got something to do with the understanding of time and space and creating a very convincing illusion. And of course a lot of filmmakers who I admire have that kind of conviction and that kind of assuredness in their work, which I'm also definitely very sort of inspired by. But again, it depends on, it's a language, that's what Alfonso keeps telling me, that cinema is a language. So I think whatever fits the narrative, whatever serves the narrative, because it might not be the right language. Like for example, in The Disciple, there is a 8-minute scene and we shot it in one continuous take, and the actors rehearsed for it, for a month. And on set, I decided, no, this is kind of going to keep the viewers away from this. Yes, it will, stoke my ego that I can do this 8-minute take, but it's not right for the film. So I chose to do a more conventional style of editing. So it also depends on how you play with the language, how you kind of, sort of evolve with that language and experiment with it, and also play with audience expectations. So I hope that answers your question in some way.
Yes, it does. Coming back to that interview that you and Alfonso were doing together, and he said at one point that his daughter, who thinks you're very cool, asked him, is Chaitanya going to be a successful filmmaker? And Alfonso said that he said to his daughter, he is.
Right.
You already are a successful.
I don't know about this. Where did you get this? I don't know this. Okay.
He's this is you just Google yourself, but you don't seem like the person who does that too often. Go on YouTube and search for your interviews.
Really?
And it's lovely, because he said that you are a successful filmmaker. Chaitanya, how do you define success? What does it mean to you?
This is a very interesting question, because this is the first question I asked Alfonso when I met him at a little Asian restaurant where we were both so chatty and so pally. Everyone was giving us looks in London. But this is the first question I asked him, because I am obsessed with the idea of internal success, internal failure, worldly success, and all of these things are kind of, a part of The Disciple. I asked him, how does it feel to be a filmmaker who's never seen failure in a way? Like all his films, his last 5 or 6 films have been massive successes, either financially or critically or both. And he told me, like, it's internal. It's success and failure is not what the world sees. It's internal, and that kind of makes sense to me. But honestly, if you ask me, I am scared of too much success. I don't want too much success, because along with it brings too much attention. And I think the higher you go, the bigger the fall. It's anyway, we are living in a very scary time. I am a bit afraid. I'm happy, just being at the room temperature, as long as I get to do my work. Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, before we started the interview, you removed post-its behind you because you said there about your next project. What can you tell us about the next project?
It's too early to say, because I was working on something very exciting.
Are you writing? What stage is it in?
No, I'm still thinking about it. I was planning to write something, and this one kind of, was more to do with, because I play a lot of board games, lot of video games. I watch a lot of interactive films, magic, mystery boxes, all kinds of nerdy things. So it was going to be sort of, inspired by all those fascinations with what's happening with the country. But the lockdown and the pandemic really threw me off. I've had zero productivity. I learned cooking. I can, make some good chole now and some good
that's a good skill to have.
But so I don't know. I want to get back to this thing, but let's see.
And do you know if you'll be traveling to Venice and Toronto?
Well, Toronto, no, definitely, because there's a 14-day quarantine, and I heard the festivals, ask people to not come this year because of safety. Venice, we would want to travel to, but it all depends on the situation in Mumbai. It all depends whether they allow us to travel there, international travel, air travel and stuff like that. So, but we would want to go there, so let's see how it goes.
Well, fingers crossed. Yes, absolutely. And Chaitanya, we're also proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. If you like this video, please subscribe to Film Companion.